to unmute yourself.
No sound yet.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Am I not audible now?
No, ma'am, you are
Ma'am, your
audible
voice
now.
is breaking
You are
up.
not audible,
Your
ma'am.
voice is not clear.
It's breaking, ma'am.
My voice may be clear.
Voice is
I'm
not
Ma'am,
clear,
your
ma'am.
voice is breaking.
सब लोग mute कर-
You are not audible. Voice is breaking, ma'am.
There may be some problem with the connectivity.
It
That's
might
why
be a problem, but then the lecture will go on smoothly, I'm sure. I want to request you all to join me in welcoming Professor Izharul Haq Farooqi Saab from the Department of Civil Engineering with a specialization in environmental studies. And Professor Farooqi has a very illustrious career behind him, as he has been one of my co-participants in the LEAP program at the Monash University also. Presently, Professor Farooqi is looking after the building department of the AMU, which is a very difficult and a massive task. But I'm sure with his enlightenment for environmental conservation, for sustainable buildings, and for sustainable construction practices, he must be bringing that in when he's looking after the maintenance and construction of new buildings in AMU. So I welcome you in our cause, Professor Izharul Haq Farooqi Saab, and he will be here with us on 2 occasions. We will be glad to listen to his deeply insightful comments on how a civil engineer can actually help in taking some steps towards sustainability, towards eco-friendly life, and towards protecting the environment. So thank you so much, and we welcome you. And it's over to Professor Farooqi and his very valuable presentation.
thank you, ma'am, for a nice introduction. Thank you all. Good morning to all the participants. So,
Good morning.
good morning, sir. Yes, good morning.
Good
I'm
morning, sir.
Good morning, morning.
Okay, good morning. Come in the message box now.
Yes, yes.
Please be on mute.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
will.
I request everybody to mute. So, I'll be speaking on some very, special types of contaminants which are present in water, which we generally don't know, which we generally ignore, because water has pharmaceutical compounds which are very harmful for us, and in our country we are not able to even monitor these compounds. Water also has many persistent organic compounds. Most of them are endocrine disruptors, that is, they interfere in with our hormonal systems. So new diseases are being caused by these pollutants. Generally we say that 70 to 80% of the cancers are because of environmental pollutants. So I will be focusing on some emerging contaminants which are there in the water supplies besides normal types of pollutants which are there. So I'll start with the conventional, then I'll swiftly move to the more important, more emerging micropollutants which are of interest to us. So let me first share my presentation with you, and then I'll ask you whether I can't share your screen. Is my screen visible to you?
No,
No,
sir.
sir. No.
Not visible.
No, sir.
Okay. Let me again do it.
Good morning to all.
Morning. One, let me just again try to.
Good morning, sir.
Trying to share the entire screen, but are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible? Am I audible also?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Audible.
sir.
But your screen is not clear.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Clear. Clear.
You are
Clear.
visible, sir. Participants,
Visible.
everybody on mute, please. The screen is perfectly clear.
Okay, thank you. Because there may be some problem with individuals, they might not be having very good connectivity, so they might not see the screen. So in a kind, if you think my screen is not visible, please interrupt me, okay, so that I can again check. So I'll start with my presentation. I would be speaking on conventional and emerging pollutants which are present in water and wastewater. So as we know that our surface covers 70% of the earth's water, and it supports life, which is critical to agriculture and industry. And we are responsible for, making it dirty, contaminated, leading to widespread of diseases. It's all man-made activities which are contaminating our water supplies. So again, going through quickly, like how we say that our water body is good, it will be only let's say satisfactory or good when it supports aquatic environment. If there is no aquatic environment, that means we have contaminated it by our own activities. Now then, what you expect our water supply should be? The common thing is that it should be free from pathogenic organisms, that is the bacteria and virus that cause diseases. Our first concern is this. Then it should not be saline. The total dissolved solid should not be more than 500 milligrams per liter. Then it should not have offensive smell or taste, which may be because of presence of a number of compounds like iron and manganese and other oxidizable species. Then it should be free from compounds that may have other effects apart from disease causing. They may have other effects also. And lastly, that it should not cause corrosion of the water supply pipelines. So again, briefly, a small question. Everything is clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, what are the major water quality issues? As I told you that we say that they should not have any bacteria and virus. Toxicity is a term which is a very general term. Even the food which we take can become toxic if we take it in higher concentration. But we will be focusing on these micropollutants. Micropollutants are those pollutants which are present in very small concentration and that can cause adverse effects. And also we will be focusing on some industrial pollutants. So these compounds, micropollutants, they are not even analyzed in our routine water supply systems. Our Nagar Nigam labs, our Jal Nigam labs, they don't have facilities to analyze our water for these micropollutants. It's only the advanced countries that they are monitoring their systems, but till date we are not monitoring all those systems. We had issues in our country like with excess of fluoride, excess of nitrate, arsenic, and iron. But these issues have been taken care of in many states, like fluoride and arsenic are very prevalent in many states of the country, like in West Bengal and adjoining areas, we have high concentration of arsenic. Fluoride, even we have in the 70% of the country, we have fluoride concentration more than the permissible value. Nitrates are also high in some area, So these are what I call conventional pollutants, which were being taken care of by us. And if these things are not controlled, then we may have eutrophication, we may see oxygen depletion in our water bodies, which may lead to death of aquatic environment. And recently, many activities have affected the ecological health of the water bodies. Like if you are making a barrage or a dam, and you are restricting water supply, there are always minimum water flows which are to be maintained to maintain the ecological health of the river or a stream. So these activities also affect the quality of our water bodies. So just to revise things, which all of you know, that the common waterborne diseases which are caused because of consumption of contaminated water supplies, cholera, typhoid, bacterial dysentery. Earlier, we experience these things after monsoon season. Why? Because many of the water supply lines, they are in the open drains or in the common sewer area. So the flooding of the area results in the contamination of water supplies, and we generally observe the spread of this cholera, typhoid, etc. in underprivileged areas of the town where the water supplies or conditions are not very hygienic. Another important thing which is very common after monsoons, etc., is hepatitis A. So these things can be prevented if we have isolation of water supply lines from sewer lines. Government of India and the court say that at least there should be a distance of 1 meter between these two pipelines. But in our country, what happens is that once you have a sanction for sewer line, you just lay down the sewers. You don't know where are your water supply lines. There is no planning in such a way. So at many places I have seen the water supply lines are passing inside a manhole. Can you imagine the water which you are consuming? Its pipeline is crossing a manhole of sewage where all impurities are there. So after monsoons, we generally see these things. So we should take care that whatever is our supplies, so we take precautions that these things are, and these things does not occur. The WHO reports that contaminated water sources contribute to 80% of the sickness and diseases throughout the world. In the underdeveloped countries like in African countries and other where the per capita income was low, the number of children which are, they die because of diarrhea is more than people who are killed in all armed conflicts in Second World War. So luckily we are living in a place where we don't encounter such situations. But there are many people who don't have any access to the clear water. They have to travel, half a kilometer or 1 kilometer to find a water source which is already contaminated. So we should keep in mind that whatever we have, we should conserve it, we should not waste it. So WHO says that every 8 seconds, a child dies from drinking contaminated water. So it's our duty to see that such things do not happen. Am I audible to all of you? Please confirm again.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, other important water contaminants which everybody knows are nitrate. The source of nitrate is because of agricultural fertilizers, manure, animal and nitrogenous material, and pollution of sewage with water supplies. Biological nitrification of ammonia generally produce this nitrate. When ammonia consumes oxygen, it converts itself to nitrate. Nitrate may cause a disease which we call blue babies in infants. Blue babies is a disease where the presence of a nitrate causes consumption of oxygen of the blood. And once oxygen of the blood is consumed, then the baby or the children dies because of lack of oxygen in them. But the maximum limit is quite high for this. 45 milligrams per liter is permissible, but it is only harmful to infants, not to us. For infants, we have to see that we should not get water which has high concentration of nitrate. Another important parameter which is of concern to us, this, it's just revising our conventional politics. We have not come to the our topic of emerging contaminants, which I will coming in 5 minutes. So fluoride occurs in many industrial waste sources, and also it is through groundwater. There is a rock which releases fluoride, and you see in Rajasthan the fluoride concentration is very high, like 5 ppm, 6 ppm, 7 ppm, and the permissible limit is 1.51. So in Agra, in Mathura also fluoride is high up to the level of 3 milligram per liter. In UP, like in Unnao and other places, in Devariya, in eastern Balia, UP, we have high concentration of fluoride. The first effect is the dental fluorosis, like the discoloration of tooth enamel, and the more harmful effect is a what we call bone fluorosis. Skeletal deformation occurs. So this, I show you some figures. You can see acceptable limit is 1, maximum permissible limit is 1.5, but we have places in our country where it is more than 4, 5, or 6. So there are a number of methods by which we can remove this fluoride. Of course, removal is there by absorption, by chemical precipitation, by advanced oxidation processes, by a conventional ammonia technology which has been developed by NEERI, and by electrochemical treatment also. We have an electrochemical cell which removes this fluoride. So in many Jal Jeevan Mission projects where we have high concentration of fluoride, people have developed low-cost filters, and also people are using electrochemical treatment for the removal of fluoride. But it is a matter to be seen that how we are maintaining those things. Because in Jal Jeevan Mission, we hand over the water supply scheme to the Gram Panchayat, and it becomes the duty of the Pradhan to maintain that scheme. And I have seen very few schemes which are being maintained in our country. So just see the diagram of this is the bone fluorosis, and these are the real pictures of Rajasthan. So we should see that whosoever is in charge of Nagar Nigam or municipal corporation, then there are methods by which we can remove fluoride to the desirable level. And it's our duty to see that water supplies don't have these concentrations. Arsenic, a heavy metal, all of you know that it is a known poison. Initially in our country, it was prevalent in West Bengal area, Bangladesh. But, over a period of time when we have started our investigation in all the supplies, arsenic is present in many places in our country. It is even in the Gangetic basin, in the Ganga basin also. It is more than the permissible limit. I told you in Eastern UP, in Bangladesh, in West Bengal, in Rajasthan, we have high concentration of arsenic. Initially, arsenic maximum permissible limit was 50 ppm or 0.05 milligram per liter. But because of its toxic effects, WHO has decreased that value to 0.02 ppm or 0.02 milligram per liter or 20 ppb, parts per billion. And now people are focusing on removing it to 10 parts per billion or 0.01 milligram per liter. The main source of arsenic is because of this presence in the arsenic, right? It can also because of some industrial waste, some insecticides they release arsenic when they are released in the environment. The various type of effects which can cause skin cancers is one of the effects. Paralysis of lower limbs, lung cancer, etc. All are results of this arsenic. As I told you that earlier, the acceptable limit was 0.05, but now WHO has reduced the limit to 0.01 because of its toxic effects. Another thing which is very common in our place where we live in Aligarh is heavy metal. Aligarh is known for hardware industry, for electrochemical industry, where we have many units which export their hardware to Europe, America, and other advanced countries. Let me tell you one secret of this. All these advanced countries, they don't have such kind of industries in their own countries. They prefer to import such things. Why? Because if they have such kind of industry, there is a risk of pollution in their water bodies, in the environment. Also, there is a lot of risk to the workers who work in the unit. In our country, this occupational health hazard, is not very significant. Nobody cares about the workers who work in this industry. The owner is, earning more than lakhs per day, but he's not bothered to give a mask or other safety measure to his workers who are exposed to acids, who are exposed to heavy metals, who are exposed to many other toxic in the industry. I have personally visited many units in Aligarh and other parts of the country. I don't think the conditions are encouraging. The boys who work there, they only work for 8 to 10 years. After that, they are not able to work because of the ailments they acquired in that industry. So heavy metals, they are present in our soil, rock, soil, but the main thing is because of wastewater, industrial wastewater. All these rock industries, all these nickel polish industry, electrochemical industry, they discharge like chromium, like lead, like nickel, cadmium. All of them are very toxic at very low level. And majority of them are cancer causing. They're also released from petroleum refineries during some refining operations. Some heavy metals are released. So common heavy metals include chromium, lead, nickel, cadmium, mercury. You must have seen that these days that mercury thermometers are not being manufactured in many places because of the toxic effects of mercury. People are going for electronic thermometers. So as I told you, most of the heavy metals are carcinogenic, cancer causing, and are toxic at very low levels. Again, my very brief question. My screen and voice is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
जो पढ़ा रहा हूँ समझ में आ रहा है?
Oh, yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
बिल्कुल सर.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
समझ में आ रहा है सर.
बोर तो नहीं हो रहे हैं?
नहीं sir.
नहीं सर
Very
यस
nice.
सर
नहीं सर.
अच्छा
नहीं सर, बोर्ड नहीं
No,
है.
sir.
बोर्ड क्यों हो गया सर
Thank you very much. Now what I'm concerning about this is that the conventional water treatment system which we have in our country, please mute yourself. The water treatment systems which we have, please mute yourself. कुछ लोगों का माइक खुला हुआ है. Please. Disturbance हो रहा है. Okay, I request you to please mute. All of you please. So the unique processes which are used for the conventional water treatment, they are used to remove suspended solids or colloidal impurities. They are used to remove dissolved chemicals, not these heavy metals and other things, but like calcium, magnesium, and hardness. And we inactivate methods. We can remove specific pollutants if we know that. If we know we have fluoride, we can remove. If we know that we have arsenic, we can remove. This is a conventional typical picture of a water treatment plant, which we have clarified. This segmentation tank, cycling tank, we have filters, and we have some aeration tanks where we require. These are all disinfection tanks. But let me tell you, all these processes, they do not remove the emerging contaminants, which I will be discussing later on. The degree of treatment depends upon the quality of the raw water, and this is again a very quick, like for surface water like a river source or a lake source or a canal source, we have pre-settling, then we have coagulation to remove colloids, again some alum, then we have segmentation process to remove solids, and we have filtration and disinfection, again chlorine, and then distribution. Okay, and likewise for an underground source, we have aeration, then water softening to remove hardness, and filtration, disinfection. So basically, filtration, disinfection, and segmentation are the units which are common in all of the water treatment plants which we have in our country. And likewise, the same is for a wastewater treatment plant, where we have some things to remove poor solid, cycling tanks to remove suspected solid, aeration tanks to remove organic matter, and again segmentation tank, and then some sludge being removed with sludge digesters and goes to sludge digester. So what I wanted to show these two slides of treatment scheme is to show that none of these schemes, they remove the emerging contaminants. They only remove the conventional pollutants which we have discussed. Now let's go to the emerging contaminants or micropollutants. So this was all I had to discuss, just to show you that the present facilities which we have in our country, they do not remove emerging contaminants. Now, next question, what are these emerging contaminants? So you see, we may have pharmaceutical compounds like the tablets, the drugs which we take. We may have some personal care products like body wash, like shampoo, like hairspray, body sprays. Then a very large amount of pesticide consumption is there in our country. Many agriculture farmers, they are using pesticides to protect their crops against these insects. I'll tell you later that most of the pesticides, they are endocrine disrupting. Endocrine disrupting means that is they are damaging our hormonal systems. We may have some nanomaterials, and like we have these daily care products, the personal care. In India, everywhere you see a doctor, in every lane you have a practitioner. You go to his shop, he will give you antibiotic immediately. You complain that you have a cough and a little bit of fever, then he will straight away gives you antibiotic. That is, you will get relief within 24 hours. But in advanced countries, they don't give antibiotics for a week. During the entire week, they will give you paracetamol to control the fever. But here, 70 to 80% of the doctors are not qualified. They are not hesitant to use heaviest of the antibiotics available in the market. And with the drug shop, they don't ask for any prescription. You just ask them, you want this tablet, they will give. So this is the state of our country, that we don't have a control over the sale and use of these compounds. Why I am focusing? Why? Because These compounds are finding way in our rivers, in our wells, in our underground water. We have a lot of antibiotics which are there and they are causing harm to our body. So we're focusing ourselves on these emerging contaminants which are present in our water supplies, and we even don't know about their concentration. We don't have laboratories to test them, to analyze. Very few laboratories. So mankind has benefited a lot from discovery of new drugs and compounds. However, they say that really one new land compounds are released every year, and hospitals are supposedly the source of emerging contaminants. Laboratories, hospitals, research labs, excretions from patients who consume these drugs, they are all source of these drugs. And many drugs, they are released as such, and metabolites of many drugs are also released. So some residues are also there. So we don't know what chemical is here in our excretion. So human excretions are the major source of discharge of these pharmaceutical compounds. So another biological material, synthetic or naturally occurring, may become candidate for future regulation. Right now, we don't have even regulations of Indian standard like what should be the value. Another examples are pharmaceutical compounds, antibiotics, hormonal statins, anti-cancer drugs, veterinary drugs are also there. Personal care products, as told you, sunscreen, colognes, antibacterial soaps, hair sprays. We will be more focusing on this endocrine disruptor also. And one thing more which many people don't know, that is disinfection byproducts. That is when you are using chlorine to disinfect your water supply, then chlorine may react with many organic compounds to form products which are more toxic than the parent compounds. Many of the trihalometanes which are formed, they cause cancers. So doing disinfection is also an skillful person job. An ordinary layman cannot do disinfection, but this is exactly what is happening in our country. In every water treatment plant, we don't have specialized environmental engineers. What we have in the plant, we have pump operators, we have a high school pass chemist who knows only a couple of tests, and we have some sweepers and other persons. So what they do, they have fixed the dosage of chlorine. They don't know what is the quality of water, how much coliforms or pathogens water has. So sometimes over chlorination is also a problem. So very carefully disinfection needs to be done. Whether you are using chlorine or you are using ozone. So in both of the cases, they form byproducts which are sometimes more harmful than the parent. The brighteners in detergents, antibacterial nanomaterial, all are sources. So I have shown you this in a tabular form. That is, what are the emerging contaminants with examples. So you can see on the left hand side, pharmaceuticals like antibiotics, analgesic compounds, ibuprofen, diclofenac, paracetamol, acetaminophen. These are very commonly used. Then we have, psychiatric type drugs like diazepam, salbutamol is another kind of this. But the most common use is of beta blockers these days. 70 to 80% of us are suffering from blood pressure, so we are using these tablets like ethanol and other beta blockers. Then we have lipid regulators. Many of us have high concentration of lipids in our blood, so we take tablets for them, like many tablets are there which are being used. So they are ultimately they find way to our wastewater through human excretions, and from wastewater it goes to water sources to rivers and other things. I show you the cycle how it goes. Then we have other personal care products, then endocrine disrupting chemicals, which we will discuss later on, flame retardants, industrial chemicals, gasoline additives also they are harmful, and antiseptics also. So this table shows you classification of examples of micropollutants or emerging compounds which needs to be focused in our water supply. We are not bothered even today to monitor these, as I told you earlier. In USA, they are monitoring on a regular basis these antibiotic compounds, and they are using many techniques. So just go through is what I have shown in the tabular form. I have written in here also. Nervous system is stimulators. These days, many people suffer from depression, so consumption of antidepressant drugs is also very high. So all of them they find path to our water supply. Another example of pharmaceutical compounds which are being used, ofofloxacin, erythromycin, all the trimethoprim. These are other tablets also, beta blockers, etc. So again, brief question: is clean and sound is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Now, this is, you see this cycle, how these compounds, you see from our human excretion, from our houses, as well as from hospitals, the wastewater goes to the sewage treatment plant of the town. Also, many industries which are manufacturing these drugs, they also discharge some compounds in their wastewater. So another source of these drugs is from industries. A third source is from veterinary. Our animals, our pets, they also their excretions also reduces these drugs. Why? Because they are also administered with a number of drugs. So three sources of these drugs to our wastewater are from human and hospital waste, from industrial waste, and from these veterinary sources. Now, all these wastewater, it goes to the sewage treatment plant of the town. And as I have shown you that the treatment is seen on sewage treatment plant, it doesn't have any mechanism to remove these. So let me use my telephone. आवाज आ रही है आपको मेरी?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So you just see
Yes,
there,
sir.
you see that these three are the sources of these drugs, and these go to this conventional sewage treatment plant where they are not removed. Again, repeating the word, where these pharmaceutical compounds are not removed in all these conventional treatment plants which we have in our country. And as a result, the treated wastewater is generally used for irrigation or are discharged into our rivers. and from rivers they go to underground water systems, and from there we can take out and can consume those. Another source is that these are the manure which is produced from the excretions of the animals. It will have these drugs. When you use this manure to grow in a field, then again it will have these compounds. So you see, source of these drugs from three activities goes to the treatment plant, and finally the wastewater of the treatment plant goes to the rivers, and rivers are generally the source of the water. And also in the agricultural field, so when rain occurs, the agriculture runoff, it has all these impurities, it reaches our river also. The runoff from the agricultural field crosses to the river. So all our rivers have an access to this water. Another diagram of the same is there. So in America, in other countries, they have, analyzed these antibiotics in their water supplies. You see, ciprofloxacin, this is a 10-year-old data. Earlier, ciprofloxacin was used very commonly. Why? Because it was used to control high fever, etc. Ciflox is a method. So our water bodies, our rivers, for having so much concentration, these are the that in microgram per liter. So if you divide this by 10⁻⁶, you will get in milligram per liter. So 0.031 milligram per liter is very high. Likewise, is blood pressure control, ethanol, and azithromycin, another antibiotic, was formed in high concentration. Another alarming thing was acetaminophen. This is a tablet that controls the fever or the pain. So in Europe and in North America, this painkiller was there, but other compounds were very less. You can see from here. But our water body was having very high. If you see today's data, then these compounds are very high. This is a 10-year-old data. So steroids, all these, quacks, what we call the doctors, which are physicians, which are there in our street, unqualified physicians, they give all such tablets. See, these are very hard. Now, this is source on. We have these drugs in our water, our river. This is a river. From the river, water goes to water treatment plant. And I told you that water treatment plant also doesn't have a unit which can remove these pharmaceutical compounds. So whatever compounds were there in the river, these compounds are also present in the treated water. The water जो treatment होने के बाद supply हो रहा है, उसमें भी ये सारे compounds. और फिर जब हमने उसे distribute किया पाइपलाइन के थ्रू, तो वो सब पानी में जा रहे थे, और फिर आपने उसको पी लिया, तो पानी आपके अंदर सारे काम. Luckily, we have very high immunity. Indians have very high immunity. So generally, we do not acquire this thing very early. But we do have long-term effects. We do have long-term effects. These days, the immunity of most of us is very low. Those who live in urban areas, their immunity is very low. Why? Because they are exposed to all such kind of pollutants. The second class of this macropollutants or emerging contaminants is endocrine disrupting chemicals, which I will be discussing next. That causes all kinds of diseases to us. So we are not, if we have very sparkling clear water from any mineral water company, we are not sure that is free from these compounds. Because So we don't have labs. Good labs, instrument what we call chemistry people must be knowing. LCMS is used to detect these pharmaceutical compounds, but you need to have very good technicians, you need to have very good scientists to operate LCMS to its accuracy, and every lab doesn't have LCMS. And earlier, luckily, we have in our centralized instrumentation facility, but many of these mega laboratories, which are supposed to monitor water supply, they don't have. So next, say the degree of emerging contaminants are endocrine disruptors. As the word says, it is the compound which disrupts our hormonal system. You know, hormones are very essential for us. Why? Because they are regulators of metabolism. So endocrine disruptor is a substance that affects our endocrine, and they are linked to biological effects in animals, which we are in a process to see their effects on humans also. Meanwhile, I am giving you some time also to read all these slides. Again, brief question. Screen and sound clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है लेक्चर में नहीं आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. आ रहा है.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, potential endocrine disruptors. आपको मजे की बात ये बताऊंगा कि जिस साइंटिस्ट ने डीडीटी को इन्वेंट किया था मलेरिया के मच्छर को मारने के, malaria was considered to be a very deadly disease at that time, and this trichloroethane, this was synthesized by one of the scientists, and he got a Nobel Prize for this. He got a Nobel Prize for this. But later on, today it's banned worldwide. So you can see a compound for which person got Nobel Prize is banned because of its harmful effect. Bisphenol A is present in many plastic water bottles, in vegetable can liners. Exogenous substances like birth control pills, which are very common these days, they're all endocrine disruptors. Phthalates, which are in toys and air fresheners. Fire retardants, which we commonly use, also very harmful. They contain very harmful chemicals. So persisting organic polluting by definition are the chemicals that are toxic, that persist in the environment for a very longer period of time. That is, they are not biologically or they are not naturally broken down to simple compounds. Then they are bioaccumulative through a food chain, which I'll show you an example how bioaccumulation occurs through food chain. All the science people must be knowing this. This we are taught in ecology in our 10th and 12th biology, how bioaccumulation occurs. And another point is that they are prone to long range transport. It's not essential that once they are emitting in Aligarh, they will be confined to Aligarh. No. Through wind, they can transport to long distances. Why? Because most of them are volatile and they come in our environment. So today we see that persisting organic pollutants are found everywhere in our food, in our soil, in our air, and in our water supplies. Characteristics are very toxic, at very low level, persistent, bioaccumulative in nature, long range transport. So see, this is an example of how I'm rushing through because of time exchange. You see, this is a pond where you have spread some insecticide. So initially the insecticide concentration was 0.00002 ppm. Now, suppose many of those insects are consumed by some phytoplankton, and since they are not degraded naturally, so they become accumulative. And when phytoplankton were consumed hundreds of these small insects, then inside their body the concentration will go up to let's say 0.0025. From this value, it has increased to this value. And say that many zooplanktons, they consume a number of phytoplanktons. So one phytoplankton was having a concentration of this. So when a number of phytoplanktons are consumed by zooplanktons, then they may have inside their body 0.123. So from this value to this value. Again, these are consumed by some fishes. They may have a concentration of 1 ppm. A large fish consumes small fishes. They have a concentration of 4.83 ppm. This is just a case study, you know. And then some big bird comes and consumes this fish, and it will have more than 100 ppm, and the same will be present in the eggs of those big birds. So you can see that from the concentration of 0.000002, it has gone up to 124 ppm. So this is what we call biomagnification or bioaccumulation through a food chain. Is it clear to all of you? All of science people know this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, effects of persisting organic molecules, the damage of our nervous system, diseases of immune system. Immunity बहुत कमजोर हो गई हमारी है, साल में कई बार नजरबंद होता है. They also affect our reproduction and development system. You know, many couples these days, they are not having children. Many of them have only one child. So it's not because of any other things, because of our exposure to such kind of chemicals which are present in our vegetables, which are present in our food material, which are present in our water supplies. So they are all causing all sorts of damage. Cancers, I told you that these days cancers are on the rise, and many of them are endocrine disruptors. So you see, there is no age for diabetes. There is no age for thyroid. Earlier, thyroid was confined to women, but now many male are also thyroid patients. So, the UN in one of their meetings in 2004 in Sweden, they have banned 12 such compounds. In that 12 compounds, 8 of them were pesticides. Then we have 2 industrial chemicals like polychlorinated biphenyls and hexachlorophene. And one of them was byproducts like dioxin. You see, these are very harmful at very low level. They are formed because of incomplete burning of solid waste. They are industry produced chemicals which are used in many applications. And these are the chlorine. Yes. Yes. Any question? We will have questions and answers at the end of the lecture. No? So screen and sound is clear?
Yes, sir. Very clear.
Very clear.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we have this 8 of the pesticides are organochlorine based. Organochlorine, they are organic compounds having chlorine as the functional groups. So chlorine becomes persistent, so it causes all this. Many of you know that there is a cancer train that runs from, in some districts of Punjab to other districts of Punjab that brings all cancer patients. I will let you know how it occurred. So dioxin, they are from industrial waste in public burning. This is the table that shows the health effect of these compounds, and you see that The last two, almost all the compounds have effect on this. Few of them have hormones, and many of them are on effect of our immune system. So, just to conclude, in a nutshell, persisting organic pollutants are damaging a lot to the body. Like daily care products, not very harmful as compared to other compounds, like soap, detergents, cleaning agent, bug sprays, sunscreen. But technically, many people are using HIT and other spray in their kitchen, etc. Be careful when you are using them. Why? Because they're all insecticides. I've never used such insecticide in my house. I would love to have cockroaches in my kitchen rather than using a HIT in my house. Why? Because it all are insecticides. Now, many researchers in the USA and advanced countries, they are focused on these target compounds. These are pharmaceuticals, they are endocrine disrupting chemicals, they are steroid hormones, and they are phytoestrogens. So they have targeted these chemicals in their water supplies, in their wastewater, and they found out how they are present and how they can be removed. So the dark one shows which are present in their raw water of their rivers, their canals, etc. You see a number of potential endocrine disruptors, a number of pharmaceutical compounds, few phytoestrogens, and two of in the US and other advanced countries. Then in the 18 water treatment facilities, they have analyzed these compounds, these pharmaceutical compounds, and they find their concentration levels and the frequency of occurrence for this. So then I can do this later on, and before I discuss one thing more important, that is disinfection method. Halogenated trihalomethane and haloacetic acid sulfur when you are using chlorine as disinfectants, और ये जब फॉर्म होते हैं जब organic compounds मौजूद होते हैं पानी. So they react with this organic compound and they form this like this. That is, they have central carbon and halogen on all the four sides of that. So this trihalomethanes, they are cancer causing. So this is the chloroform, bromo, dichloromethane, dibromochloromethane, and bromoform. These are the effects that they may cause on humans, and many of them are classified as carcinogenic interfectants. Effects. You see, this is their cancer potential factor. For this, it is 0.062 milligram per kilogram body weight per ton. 0.084 milligram per kilogram per ton. So this is all studies carried out by US Environmental Protection Agency. All this. Now coming back to this water supply, the treatment plant especially they use some techniques to see what is the degree of removal. So first they tried with UV. So using UV, they have seen that these compounds are removed less than 30%. These compounds are removed between 30 to 70%, and not a single compound was removed more than 70%. So they tried other combinations. They use chlorine. They increase the amount of chlorine. Then again, we see what is the removal of these compounds in chlorine, but that too for 24 hours. In general, in our treatment plant, we do have a contact time of 30 minutes, only half an hour. This study was carried out for a contact time of 24 hours. So it is not possible to give one a 24 hours contact time because you will be requiring a lot of space time. What they tried, they tried a combination of ozone and UV H2O. Hydrogen peroxide, UV, ozone, they're all advanced oxidizing agents. So there we've seen that there are a lot of compounds which are removed more than 70. So from there we got a clue that advanced oxidation processes may be a possible technique for removing these emerging contaminants. Otherwise, the routine treatment units may not result in the removal of these things. So these days people are doing a lot of research on advanced oxidation processes. Two of my students are doing PhD on the removal of these antibiotics, and they are using our facilities. The thing that can remove more than 70% is reverse osmosis. So reverse osmosis is a very costly process because we have a membrane through which we pass water through pressure, and there's always some reject water which comes from the membrane. So the reject water has high concentration of pollutants. So it's a matter of great concern how to manage that reject water. RO can remove any chemical. In our houses, we have RO. RO जो हमारे घरों में लगा होता है, उसमें एक दो जो सबसे बड़ा नुकसान है. The main drawback is that we are also removing essential minerals which are helpful for our body. So वो भी हम remove कर देते हैं. तो इसलिए आजकल बच्चों की हड्डियां कमजोर होती है, bones are weak, bone density आप देखेंगे सबकी बहुत कम होगी. So because many essential minerals are also looked in the RO which have in our house. So for a municipal corporation system, for large flows like 100 million liters per day, RO will be a very costly operation. But like in the United States of America, many treatment plant facilities have installed RO. Why? Because the priority is human health. The priority is that they want to remove most of the chemicals. So this is again a comparative photo which shows the effect of. This is a wastewater plant. This is after membrane filtration. This is after RO. And if you are using UV and advanced oxidation process also after RO, you may get a very high quality of water like this. For that, you need energy. And again, you see maximum energy is used for your RO and advanced oxidation process. So from this energy will. So if you go and see this cycle, this cycle will tell you all. Somewhere and somewhere we have to make a compromise. Well, there are certain emerging pathogens, fecal contamination, water supply, the main source of pathogens, maybe many viruses, new viruses, which is SARS, COVID virus, which we have experienced a few years back, was also found in. You see, many of you have read through newspaper that the first time the COVID was detected through the analysis of a wastewater of an airport. In the Netherlands, in Schiphol airport, they have analyzed the wastewater of the toilet units of that airport, and there they find this coronavirus in that wastewater. So from there, they have concluded that certain travelers or passengers or even workers must have discharged this virus through their feces or through their stations. And from this bad theory, we were able to diagnose people with coronavirus. So it all started from the diagnosis of a wastewater sample from a product of an airport. So some passengers must have used like airport. So hospital wastewater was considered in those periods as a great hazard for the pandemic period. That is, most of the patients were there in isolations. So their excretion was having this COVID virus. But luckily, the life of this virus in the open water sources was not very large, was not very high. So within 24 hours, they were all inactivated. So luckily, our river water was not having those viruses. Our wastewater was having viruses, all those kind. But our water supplies, क्योंकि देखिए जो एक्सपोज थे वहाँ पे, अब इसको नहीं डिस्कस करेंगे, तो निकल गया, बहुत ही खराब वक्त था, तो डिसइंफेक्शन क्लोरीन से करने में कोरोना वायरस भी इनएक्टिवेट होगा। चलिए से हम यहाँ पे खत्म करते हैं। I'll give you some time for question and answer. First of all, what are your comments on this my presentation?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Nice presentation.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Very
sir.
nice presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. So
Thank
nice
you.
presentation, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So I always,
Sir, such a very nice and informative presentation. I want to ask a question, sir.
sure, on my one.
Sir, can I?
Yes, sure,
सर ये हम लोग डेली रूटीन में जो डिटर्जेंट और जो होम सोप या शैम्पू, ये जो वाटर में सेलेबल होकर कंटामिनेट करता है वाटर को, तो इसके प्यूरिफिकेशन का तो कोई इशू होता नहीं है सर?
Basically, many treatment plants have units to remove all infects. So there are also most of them are surfactants, and they are generally removed. There is skimming can, skimmers are there to remove those. वो sludge के साथ आ जाते हैं. They are light materials. They float to the top of the segmentation can and cycling can, and there they are generally removed. जी आप और कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं?
Sir,
नहीं, okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, I'm Amit Kumar Mishra from Prayagraj. I would like to ask you what I have got from your presentation, that UV advanced oxidation process is the best way to treat water.
For this endocrine disrupting chemicals and other things, but you have to have routine units before that.
Okay.
These are basically tertiary units, polishing units.
So what is the best way to use for the treatment of the water in our home? What would be your suggestion?
I am having as a factor of safety RO in my house. Though the total dissolved solids in my submersible water is less than 500, and code says that there is no need to use the RO if your total dissolved solids are less than 500. But I am using it for the removal of other compounds which are likely there. But the harmful effect is that our children they don't have those minerals which are there. The minerals
is there any technique to add minerals in our water?
Yes, we can have people. They claim this Bisleri and other company. They claim that they add some minerals to the RO water. But I'm not sure. They have to externally act. Externally in the form of chemicals, but that is not a good practice to add anything after treatment. What I will suggest you,
concept of fortified water is nowadays very prevalent. Fortified water from minerals.
Okay, yes.
Alkaline water, fortified water.
Alkaline water is good for the stomach, you know. It contains a pH where many things are not affected. And you know, in Europe, etc., we go, you have two different types of water. They have one. I'll ask you whether you want a mineral water or you want an alkaline water. So that is for digestion purposes and other purposes. High pH is sometimes helpful.
One more thing, sir. Very clean water or very purified water is very good or bad for our immunity, because we should in contact with some bacteria or viruses and something else for the advancement of our immunity.
Yes, you are right. Immunity develops through exposure, but you will not like your child to have in contact with any type of bacteria. हम लोग कहते समय कि इम्यून होना चाहिए, लेकिन क्या हम अपने बच्चे को करने देंगे? So, again, of course, over care is sometimes very harmful.
In Corona period, some of the people who are confined in their rooms are more affected than those who are going outside to take vegetables and other things.
You know, the protein level in our body gives us high immunity. So those who had good intake of protein, they were, you know, less affected as those who were not having.
Okay, thank you.
But it's a very debatable issue ना. हम अपने बच्चे को नहीं कहेंगे कि वो बगैर चप्पल के घूमो, तुम्हारे अंदर इम्यूनिटी आएगी, तुम जमीन से पड़ी हुई चीजें खाओ, तुम्हारे अंदर इम्यूनिटी आएगी, नहीं होगी ना. तो ये हमारी जो एक्स्ट्रा केयर है ना, it you know, it sometimes becomes harmful also.
Thank you.
But we have to live in these conditions. What our government is doing, we are trying best. What is the need of the hour is that those of us, हम में से जो लोग इन पोजीशंस पे हैं, जो इन ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स के इंचार्ज हैं, जो इन प्रोडक्ट्स के इम्प्लीमेंटेशन में हैं, उनको बहुत ऑनेस्ट होना पड़ेगा, तभी हमारी वाटर बॉडीज और हमारी हेल्थ बहुत अच्छी हो.
So you are saying the higher intake of protein builds our immunity. Even in Corona period, I have observed that who are on roadside beggars are not affected from the coronaviruses.
Have you ever seen the guide of a beggar? much bigger than what we have. It was just my guess, you know. I have read through many articles that those who had high intake of proteins, they were less affected.
So,
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Sure.
It's very easy because, sir, हम लोग एक्चुअली घर में जैसे सपोज जो आरओ का वाटर है या फिर पानी जो सप्लाई हमें देता है बॉटल का, उनका पीएच मैंने जो रीड किया टीडीएस मीटर से जो मैंने रीड किया तो अराउंड 25 और 30 अराउंड आता है, जो बहुत ही वो मतलब इरिटेट फील करता है आपके जब आप उसको पीते हैं तो क्या मैं
आपको राय दूंगा. जैसे कैंट एक कंपनी है, कैंट आरओ वाली जो है.
हाँ सर.
मैं किसी कंपनी का नाम लेना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि मेरे घर में लगी इससे बता रहा हूँ. उसमें एक और होता है जिससे आरओ के बाद पानी को ऐड किया जाता है, ठीक है.
यस
एक और फिल्टर होता है, दैट इंक्रीजेस दैट टोटल डिसॉल्व सॉल्ट.
नहीं, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि मैं उसको मैनुअली करता हूँ. मैनुअली कैसे करता हूँ? रोज करता हूँ ऐसे. ये सपोज मैंने वो जो वाटर सप्लाई देता है मुझे डब्बे में, उस बॉटल्स का अगर TDS देखता हूँ 30 है, 30 है, तो
हाँ।
मैं क्या करता हूँ, जो पानी का जो टैप वाटर है उसका 400 है, तो टैप वाटर को निकाल के उसको मिक्स करते हैं। एक रेशियो हम समझ रखे हैं, रेशियो 75% वो पानी या 25% ये पानी, दोनों को मिला देते हैं, तो अराउंड 150 आ जाता है, और फिर उसको मैं उसको उबाल लेता हूँ। तो क्या तरीका ठीक है या फिर
हाँ,
गलत?
ये उबालने से many of the bacteria they can kill, but many virus and many cysts they escape this boiling process. So उसमें अगर कोई पुराना खासा कोई वायरस है उस पानी में, तो हो सकता है वो बॉयल करने से भी ना हो जाए। तो ये एलिमेंट का रिस्क सही है। देखिए उसमें भी कैट को ये होता है कि वो 2 फिल्टर लगे होते हैं, उस फिल्टर का पानी को मिक्स करते हैं टोटल ग्लास सॉलिड को बढ़ाने के लिए। तो वो फिल्टर भी नैनो फिल्टर नहीं होते, वो भी कोई माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म को या वायरस को शील्ड नहीं कर पाते, लेकिन हम करते हैं क्योंकि हमें चाहिए 100 के आसपास तो होना चाहिए, 100 से कम तो केजीएस नहीं होना चाहिए, तो मैं भी करता हूँ उससे। लेकिन वो एटलीस्ट एक फिल्टर के थ्रू पास हो जाता है जो मिक्स होता है।
अच्छा, नहीं सर, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि जो मैं इक्विपमेंट का यूज नहीं करना चाह रहा हूँ, मैं कह रहा हूँ क्या मैनुअली कर सकता हूँ क्या?
कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अब वो है कि उस पानी में अगर कुछ होगा तो नुकसान करेगा, नहीं हुआ तो कुछ नहीं करेगा। मैं आपको बता दूं, आज भी जो लोग ढाबे में जाके चाय से पहले पानी पीते हैं उन्हें कुछ नहीं होता।
हाँ राइट सर, लेकिन मेरा कंसर्न था, हैवी मेटल से था।
आप कर सकते हैं, बॉयल कर रहे हैं आप तो बहुत अच्छी बात है।
नहीं तो सर जो हैवी मेटल्स हैं खास करके
आप तो बॉयल करेंगे तो कुछ तो प्रेसिपिटेट हो ही जाएगा ना।
नहीं हाँ होता है, लेकिन
केजीएस फिर कम हो जाएगा।
आर्सेनिक मेटल जो है, जैसे जिस एरिया की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, वहाँ पर ज्यादा मतलब आर्सेनिक लोड ज्यादा है, तो क्या वो तो रिमूव नहीं हो पाएगा ना? लेकिन मात्रा कम, मात्रा कम जाएगी, क्वांटिटी कम आएगी।
नहीं, क्वांटिटी भी कम नहीं होगी, आर्सेनिक बॉइलिंग से कम नहीं होगा।
नहीं, हम तो उसकी मात्रा कम ले रहे हैं सर, हम 1/4 ले रहे हैं ना उस पानी का।
अच्छा आप कह रहे हैं वहाँ 1/4 ले रहे हैं, ठीक है।
हाँ मिला लेते हैं, मतलब मेरे पास मजबूरी ये है, या फिर ऐसा कर सकते हैं, है ना सर?
कितना है आपको सोर्स में आर्सेनिक?
हैवी लोड है सर, ये आपको वेस्ट बंगाल एरिया में है, जैसे मधेपुरा पूर्णिया एरिया है, मतलब कोसी का क्षेत्र है, तो यहाँ पे
वही पानी ट्रीटमेंट होने के बाद आता होगा ना आपके यहाँ?
नहीं सर, ट्रीटमेंट से वो शायद निकल नहीं पाता है, वो अंदर बोरवेल का ही है, तो मैंने भी तो मेरे पास दूसरा ऑप्शन नहीं है, या फिर बाकी लोगों को मैं यही सजेस्ट करता हूँ कि आप लोग लो, मतलब
आप डाइल्यूशन को कम करिए ना थोड़ा सा। आप उसका केजीएस 50-60 पी लिए, अगर आपको आर्सेनिक से बचना है।
हाँ वो हमने बोला उसको, तो वो नहीं मान रहा है। क्यों नहीं मान रहा है? क्योंकि उसको आर्सेनिक को कम करना है, वो कहता है आर्सेनिक कम करने के लिए मैं इतना मतलब TDS को लो करता हूँ 30-20।
तो आप उसे 50 तक अपने डाइल्यूशन से कर लिए तो उतना फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा।
अच्छा, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
हेलो,
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
डॉक्टर संतोष कुमार
Sir,
I live in Varanasi near
one by one, please.
Sir, my Dr. Santosh Kumar, and I want to ask a question, sir. I live in Varanasi near ZHCET, and here, sir, my family use the water directly, underground water through submersible directly. So, whether it is harmful or not?
It depends upon the quality of that groundwater. आपने कभी चेक कराया उस पानी को?
Never, sir. But it is very sweet. For a long time we are using this water. No problem we have ever faced.
वाराणसी में चूंकि वाटर लेवल भी हाई है, आप नीचे से पानी ले रहे तो वो अच्छा ही होगा, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी।
Yes sir. For a long time we are drinking this water.
You're doing the right thing.
Yes, thank you.
नवीन कुमार मिश्रा, युवा के को
हाँ सर, हाई क्लोरीनेटेड वाटर पीने से क्या नुकसान हो सकते हैं?
मैंने बताया कि अगर उसमें ऑर्गेनिक मैटर होगा तो बीओडी होगी तो वो ऑर्गेनिक क्लोरीन कंपाउंड्स बना देगा।
अच्छा सर। और सर एक क्वेश्चन और
वो अच्छे बैक्टीरिया को भी अंदर मार देगा।
अच्छा सर, एक क्वेश्चन और पूछना था सर।
जी
सर, जब शहरों में सप्लाई वाला पानी आता है और उसमें सीवेज वगैरह पानी के सब मिल जाए तो उसको साफ करने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं?
भैया उसको तो आरओ से कर सकते हैं, और क्या?
आरओ से?
आरओ प्लस दिस यूवी आल्सो।
आरओ यूडी?
हाँ, यूवी डिसइंफेक्शन होना चाहिए।
जी सर, थैंक यू।
डॉक्टर अनु मिश्रा।
नमस्ते सर.
नमस्ते जी, बोलिए.
Sir, this is Dr. Anu Mishra from Manevar Kashiram Government Degree College, सद्दीक नगर, गाजियाबाद. सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि सर आरओ का कोई सब्स्टिट्यूट है? जैसे कि हम लोगों ने अभी तक पढ़ा है कि आरओ से नुकसान होता है और हम लोग जहाँ रहते हैं वहाँ पे टीडीएस बहुत ज्यादा होता है, तो क्या ऐसा कोई सब्स्टिट्यूट है कि आरओ की जगह हम लोग कुछ और भी यूज करें?
कितना टीडीएस है?
सर 400 500 तक तो जाते ही है सर.
500 तो परमिसिबल है, 500 तक तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया कहती है आरओ की जरूरत है.
400 500.
हाँ, दिस नो नीड फॉर आरओ.
सर वहाँ का फिल्टर हम लोग चेंज करते हैं 2-3 महीने में, इतना खराब हो जाता है.
हाँ, वो तो हो जाए, लेकिन आई थिंक यू डोंट नीड आरओ अप टू 500 people. However, if there are some other impurities, then they can be removed through आरओ. ऐसा होता है कि आप नोएडा पे या गाजियाबाद में जहाँ भी रहते हैं, यहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रीज बहुत है. I have seen personally that drains, all of them are black. So इनका कहीं ना कहीं इफेक्ट अंडरग्राउंड वाटर में भी आता है. तो टीडीएस तो नहीं होगा, लेकिन इसमें तो और हार्मफुल केमिकल्स होंगे. तो वो हार्मफुल केमिकल्स आरओ से निकल जाएंगे.
ओके सर,
तो आप उसे यूज करिए. आई सजेस्ट करूंगा.
सर आइडियल टीडीएस रेंज क्या है?
थैंक यू सर.
500 मैक्सिमम. डॉक्टर सत्येंद्र कुमार से बात हो गई मेरी? है
एक्चुअली सर ये था कि ना 150 प्लस पीना चाहिए, तो इस वजह से मेरे दिमाग में था कि ये
अब आप देखिए, ऊपर वाले ने हर चीज मौसम के हिसाब से बनाई है. हम लोग आजकल के बच्चे फल नहीं खाते. कैल्शियम, पोटेशियम, मैग्नीशियम, हर चीज उसमें भी मिल जाती है. जो मिनरल्स हमारे पानी से निकल रहे हैं वो चीजें फलों में मिल जाती है, वो चीजें सब्जी में मिल जाती है. पर आजकल के बच्चे जो हैं वो चीजें खाते नहीं. उन्हें फास्ट फूड चाहिए और ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, इस वजह से उनकी सेहत ज्यादा खराब है. डॉक्टर सुनीता नेगी.
थैंक यू सर.
गुड नून सर, मैं उत्तराखंड से हूँ. सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि ये जो हम लोग जो नेचुरल स्प्रिंग से पानी लेते हैं सर, ये सेफर है ड्रिंकिंग के लिए? हाउ मच इज दिस वाटर सेफर एज कंपैरिजन टू आरओ वाटर?
It depends upon the quality of that spring water. First, you should analyze that water. Many springs are having very high quality. Many springs are having high sulfur content also. So you have to check the water supply first. क्योंकि blankly कह देना कि वो अच्छा होता है, हम नहीं कह रहे, unless we check the water quality also.
So because local people are using only that type of water because the RO is not available there now.
Okay, it's okay, ma'am. If it is not harming our body, it's okay. But there may be long-term effects which we don't recognize at this age. Dr. Sanjeev Polwal, I am just seeing the list of.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, but it has been seen that in Uttarakhand region, generally people suffer from kidney stones and gallbladder stones because of this spring water. वो consumption करते हैं मैम डायरेक्ट.
तो वो बेसिकली टोटल डिसॉल्व सॉलिड ज्यादा हो जाती है ना, तो हमारी बॉडी की जो अंदर केमिस्ट्री है कहीं पे केमिकल प्रेसिपिटेशन हो जाता है पीएच की वजह से. तो इट वेरीज फ्रॉम पर्सन टू पर्सन.
ओके सर.
हाँ, तो केमिकल प्रेसिपिटेशन हो जाता है अगर टीडीएस ज्यादा होता है. तो टोटल डिसॉल्व सॉलिड कम नहीं है आप, तो चांसेस कम हो जाते हैं.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
ओके, नाइस इंटरेक्शन विद ऑल ऑफ यू. ऑल ऑफ अस आर टीचर्स. आप भी हैं जैसे हमें वैसे आप हैं. जो इनका जो इन कोर्सेज का जो मेन उद्देश्य या ऑब्जेक्टिव ये होता है कि यू आर एक्सपोज्ड टू नंबर ऑफ रिसोर्स पर्संस एंड यू टेक द स्टाइल ऑफ ईच रिसोर्स पर्सन. कौन कैसे पढ़ा रहा है, कौन कैसे इंटरेक्ट कर रहा है, तो उसी से हम एक अच्छे टीचर बनते हैं. इसलिए हमको एक कोर्स कराए थे, किसी नॉलेज के लिए नहीं कराए थे. नॉलेज तो हम सबके अंदर है, हम जिस फील्ड में हैं we are all qualified, but what we are exposed to number of resource persons so who have different styles, so which we can adopt in our teaching also. So tomorrow I'll be discussing on conventional wastewater treatment systems. हमारे जो सीवेज हमारे घरों से निकलता है, इसका ट्रीटमेंट कैसे होता है. I hope all of us will come again tomorrow and will show the same interest which you have shown here. Anything you want me to improve, you can say I can improve tomorrow. Which can I?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
As always,
Thank you, sir.
much, sir.
thank you very much. Have a
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, so much. Thank you, sir.
Sir.